propaganda movement. The propaganda movement began in 1882 and lasted up to the early months of 1892. These included the idea to assimilate the Philippines as a province of Spain. As such, and not as a colony of Spain, the Philippines would be represented in the Spanish lawmaking called Cortes. The Filipino would become Spanish citizens who would enjoy all the rights and privileges by all Spanish citizens. They are also obliged to discharge their duties as Spanish citizens. As Spanish citizens, the Filipinos could not be treated cruelly by the friars and the Spanish civil authorities. This move to make the Philippines a province of Spain and granting the citizenship to Filipinos was called assimilation. Demands of Filipino reformists: representation of Spanish Cortes, the right to vote, freedom of speech, of assembly, and of the press, freedom of commerce, the removal of friars from the Philippines because they were an obstacle to progress, the education of the people, reforms in the jails of the country, the abolition of the diezmos praediales, or the tithe consisting of 1/10 of the produced land. Three of the most important Filipino reformists. Number 1. Marciano Lopez Haina. Marciano Lopez Haina was born in Jaro, now a part of Iloilo City, on December 18, 1856. He studied at the seminary of Jaro to become a priest, but later on, he changed his mind to become a physician instead. He was observant in the injustices, immorality, and greed of the friars and civil officials. He wrote a story about a certain friar named Fray Botod who was greedy, immortal, and cruel. He founded the fortnightly newspaper, La Solidaridad or Solidarity, and became its first editor. Lopez Haina suffered from hunger and illness, and on January 20, 1896, he died in Barcelona, Spain. Number 2. Jose P. Rizal. Jose P. Rizal was born in Calamba, Laguna on June 19, 1861. He studied at the Ateneo Municipal and later at the University of Santo Tomas. He went to Europe to continue his medical studies. He observed early in life how the Spaniards maltreated the Filipinos. He saw how the Spanish authorities ordered his aging mother to walk from Calamba to the town of Santa Cruz, the capital of the province. In 1882, he went to Spain with the help of his uncle and elder brother, Paciano. At the age of 26, he wrote his first novel, No Limitang Here, or Touch Me of the Philippines, then also wrote his second novel, El Filibusterismo, The Rebel. In No Limitang Here, he exposed the defects of the Spanish administration of the Philippines, the greed and immorality of the friars, and the superstitions of the Filipinos. In El Filibusterismo, it was a sequel of the first novel. Rizal expressed his political ideas and, in story form, predicted the coming of the revolution. Rizal wanted to educate people so that they would know how to discharge their duties correctly and faithfully. Because of his attacks on the civil and ecclesiastical authorities in the Philippines, they hated him and worked for his arrest. They found a concrete basis and opportunity when he returned to the Philippines and founded La Liga Filipina, a patriotic society which was suspected of uniting and preparing the people for a revolution. He was first banished to Dapitan, Zamboanga, and later tried by military court that sentenced him to death. He was executed on Bagong Bayan Field, now Luneta or Rizal Park, on December 30, 1896. Number 3. Marcelo H. Del Pilar. Marcelo H. Del Pilar was born in the bar of Cupang, Bulacan on August 10, 1850. He was called even his Spanish enemies greatest journalist produced by the purely Filipino race. He studied at the College of San Jose and later finished at the University of Santo Tomas, where he finished his law studies in 1880. In 1882, he founded the Tagalog-Spanish newspaper, Jarang Tagalog, which, although short-lived, published suggestions on how to improve the administration of the country, mild criticisms of the Spaniards. In 1888, the Spanish friars of Bulacan persuaded the Spanish officials of the province to arrest Del Pilar, but his admirers warned him about the order for his arrest, and so he secretly left Spain. A year after his arrival in Spain, he became the editor of La Solidaridad. Books of Marcelo H. Del Pilar. La Soberania Monacal en Filipinas, Monastic Sovereignty in the Philippines, La Philocracia Filipina, Philocracy in the Philippines. Unlike Rizal and the other reformists, Del Pilar wrote in the language of the masses. He wrote Kaingit Kayo, Salan at Tuksohan, Kadakilaan ng Diyos, Sagot ng Espanya sa Hibig ng Pilipinas. These writings in Tagalog were truly enjoyed by the masses. Due to his work and lack of proper food, he contracted tuberculosis. Unfortunately, he died on July 4, 1896. Why the Reform Movement failed? There are 4 reasons why the Reform Movement failed. First, the Spanish high officials in Spain were too busy with their own problems to listen to the collective voice of the reformists. Second, the reformists in Spain and in the Philippines did not have the necessary financial means which to make their campaign effective. Funds were particularly difficult to get because most of the patriotic Filipinos had no money to finance such a big project. Third, the reformists themselves were not united. There were jealousies among them. The unity of the Filipinos in Spain was once endangered by the rivalry for the leadership between Rizal and Del Pilar. There were other quarrels which are not good for the cause of the Filipinos. Lastly, the friars in the Philippines had influential friends and supporters in Spain. These supporters opposed the introduction of reforms in the Philippines. Against the rich and powerful friars, the Filipino reformists could not do much to obtain the goals that would make the colony a province of Spain, with the equal rights as those enjoyed by Spaniards. Against the rich and powerful friars, the Filipino reformists could not do much to obtain the goals that would make the colony a province of Spain, with equal rights as those enjoyed by Spaniards.